Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread! Cornbread! Cornbread!
Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Detroit Koolaid. Detroit Koolaid drinkers. What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Eric Oakley, right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, talking Detroit Lions. Less than a month away from the NFL draft. The Lions continue to add playmakers. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes at the podium, talking about the team, talking about the future, talking about winning the NFC North and more. And I got somebody here that wants to talk all about it. You guys know who he is. He thinks he's always right. He has gimmick phrases. He makes himself laugh and others. He has hot takes. He loves Jared Goff. The one and only at Chops in the D. Chops, you're back. You're ready to talk some Lions. Let's go, buddy. Let's do this.
Woo! Hey, Oakley, great to be back on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Of course, everyone is here to listen to me give takes about what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are going to do. Hashtag what Choppy said.
Woo! Hashtag Choppy liking.
Exactly. Dude, I'm just like, you know how we work on the show. We got a couple bullet points. We try not to bore people to death. We're here to talk about our lines. We're here to get people hyped. We're here to serve up that delicious Honolulu blue flavored. Say it 3 times fast. Detroit Koolaid. Drink it in, man. Got a cornbread.
Cornbread!
Make it a double.
Cornbread!
We got so much to talk about. Chops, do you think we should mess around? Do you think we should talk about the weather? You want to talk about your work day? You want to tell the people how your kids are? Or do you want to talk about free agents and the NFL draft and the Lions?
Oakley, it is Lion time. Drink that Honolulu blue, Honolulu blue, Honolulu blue Kool-Aid in, baby. Let's go.
Drink it in, man. Let's do this. So you're back on the show. You've been gracing the people with your presence. Who knows how many more shows we might get the opportunity, the blessing to do here before the draft gets rolling. But you're back on, and you haven't been on since the Lions signed CJGJ. I mean, I hate to pat myself on the back or say I told you so, but this was definitely an Oakley target. I had multiple tweets saying, hey, Brad Holmes, go get this man. Again, he didn't shoot me a DM back, but he went and did it because he kind of listens to me on Twitter. I mean, it's just a thing that's happened multiple times now. I want your reaction when they sign this ball player, the safety. He plays nickel. He'll tackle you. He gets his hands on the football. He's a D-A-W-G. CJ Gardner-Johnson. What do you think, man?
Oh, Oakley, well, first and foremost, you know that Brad Holmes saw that tweet that you put out there about go get CJGJ because, I don't know, I retweeted it. So, hello. He got eyes on that. But yeah, this signing is fan-freaking-tastic. And, I really, we had to say goodbye to DJ Chark, but man, I'm thinking go CJ, that's my GJ. Love this signing. Aaron Glenn has known this guy for years, I think all the way back to high school ball. He's been bugging Dan Campbell to get this guy. He's been bugging Brad Holmes, and we finally did it. The market was out there. Brad Holmes swept in, slapped those meat hooks together, called a couple agents. If you want to hear all about that, he talked about it the other day on his press conference. And he got this ball hawk, and the guy just is going to absolutely solidify our secondary. I am pumped to get CJ. That's my GJ.
It's incredible. You're coming up with gimmicks. I mean, his name is just so sweet. We thought we had it with ARSB. Now we got 2 guys with 4 basically initials or whatever you want to call them. That's swaggy. Or what's that other name we use for ARSB again?
Amon Ra.
Exactly. And I talked to Logan Lamorandier. He was all about it as well. And I just think, this guy is going to be such a great fit in the city, on this team, with the coaches. It's just a great move all the way around. So love that. I think it's going to be great. They're not done yet. I think you told me, $25 million in cap space left? I mean, yeah, they need some of that for the draft, but, B3, Big Bad Brad's got something cooking.
Tell me this. How does Big Bad Brad, there, I'll give you your plug there, or my boy Brad, always open for business, Holmes, how does this guy lock in Emmanuel Mosley, Gardner Johnson, Cam Sutton, David Montgomery, and somehow have more cap space than when we started the offseason? This guy is a magician. $25 million in cap space left, $14 million needed for the draft. My boy's got $11 million to still play with. There's names out there. Let's go get them.
Well, speaking of names out there, we've been known a time or two to talk about, I don't know, rumor innuendo, maybe a conspiracy theory or two here on the show. Choppy, what's going on with all these rumors, all these talks about Jeffrey Simmons, about Buckner from the Colts, about the Detroit Lions going out to get Ed Oliver from the Buffalo Bills? I mean, is this going to happen, or is this just crazy talk?
Look, Okri, he wouldn't have restructured all these deals to give himself that much cap space if he was just going to sit on it, right? I think he's making a move here. Whether it's a trade, whether it's another signing, I think right now defensive interior is our biggest need, quote unquote. Even though I don't really feel like we have too many terrible needs at this point, we totally addressed the secondary. But yeah, he's going to go spend that $11 million, and I think D tackle is a great spot to do that at.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of talk. Everyone's getting all hyped. They're cooking up these trades. It's like, I really don't want to pay a DT like $100 million or $15 million per. No, I like Buckner a lot. Simmons has always been my boy, man. He's a Detroit Lion. He's a Detroit guy if we brought him here. But I just can't pay that check. I can't. So it's going to force me to kill the music, to kill the rumor innuendo, and say, yes, they're going to address penetrate defensive tackle, but not at that price. Killed the music. Chops, we got to keep this thing rolling. Today on the show, after we finish with a few more news and notes, we are going to give the people.
And the people consist of the millions
of Kool-Aid drinkers. We're going to give you guys our draft targets per pick, per round, names to think about, scenarios. We got to get all in on that. But before we do, Chops, the Lions seem to love, and I mean absolutely love, dipped in butter, Jared Goff just as much as you do. I mean, the Goff train, you've been talking about it. I mean, it's hauling ass down the tracks. Brad Holmes has said we got a quarterback. Dan Campbell said we got a great quarterback. We're good. I mean, you have to love all this, don't you?
Okri, it is sweet, sweet musical train music to my ears. Yeah, hashtag Goff train is trending with your conductor, Choppy Chop. Choo-choo! All aboard! If you're not on the Goff train yet, your ass better just get out of here because you're not getting back on. I don't want to hear talk about Lamar. I don't want to hear talk about drafting a quarterback at 6. Listen. The Goff train is full steam ahead, and I would argue he is the second best quarterback in the NFC. Let's ride that train to the Super Bowl, baby.
You are now the conductor. You've also been quoted previously of saying that people that aren't on this hashtag Goff train and that want to get on, you've called it Bula Bula. You've also said this to me personally.
I don't want your Bula Bula support when it comes to Jared Goff. You don't get to join the Goff train. You're off, bro. You're off.
How funny was it, Chops, when people were saying they're on the Goff train? They said, Okri, if you're not on the Goff train, you're not getting on. You can't get on. And then my response was a simple gif of some guy running up to the subway, latching onto the door outside, and then just disappearing as it took off down the subway.
Oh, Oakrey, that could not have been any more representative of your feelings on the Goff train, right? You were like hanging on the platform, and it's whizzing by you, and you're like, no, please let me get on. You jump on, grab on the side, and then it disappears into the tunnel.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a perfect GIF for your ticket on the Goff train, because, we ain't even opening the doors for you. You're off, bro. You're off.
And even if he balls, I mean, again, I'm going to try to get through, even though, like, my other tweet was me running after a train with my suitcase, hoping to grab the back ledge when I couldn't. So I'm still running alongside at this point. But we know you are the conductor. So, anybody that hasn't heard Brad Holmes or Dan freaking Campbell and their podiums, and you go to the Lions YouTube, absolute gold. Just love how they talk about this team. Love the moxie. The thing I saw about Dan Campbell today is just answering a question, getting all fired up because he's saying Aaron Glenn's in the lab, just dialing things up, and he's working on schemes, and he's fired up about his team, and they're already way better on defense, and you see him about ready to come out of his chair and just get after some kneecaps. So I absolutely love seeing our head coach he's just an alpha male. There's just no question. He loves the game of football. He wants to win at tiddlywinks or, categories, anything. He wants to dominate, and I think that he's going to do that here in 2023 for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, his competitive juices just flow every time he talks. Like on one of those last interviews, they're talking to him, and he's just like, they're talking about the defense and how they added to the secondary, and then they're doing this, and he's getting amped up. He's up on I thought the guy was gonna jump out of his chair and start barking like a DAWD jog. Man, it's just crazy how excited he gets, and I love that passion from him. I think the national media thought it was a gimmick, but that's his real personality, man. Like, kneecaps all the way, dinner, breakfast, lunch. That's just who we got, and we absolutely love it. And it's going to be so sweet when we're biting kneecaps off all the way to the playoffs.
I think Dan freaking Campbell might have looked at one reporter with glasses and said this:
Know your role and shut your mouth, because the people's champ is ready to talk.
Exactly, Dan Campbell. All right, Chaz, we've had fun. It's about 10 minutes off the top with all the great things going on with our Lions. If you don't have anything else, man, I say we just get into it for the Kool-Aid drinkers. Rounds, picks, players, just talk all things NFL draft the rest of the show.
Oakrey, I have been waiting for this pod for months since the season ended. I am ready to cue the music. I'm ready to get the cards. I'm ready to see, the commish walk up to the podium and call some names. Let's go. Hit the music. Round 1, Lions.
Let's go. Perhaps we'll bring the music down low, but we will leave it there for the time being. In the first round, the Detroit Lions pick number 6. The names I got on my brain that I think we're going to have to pick from, or that we are hoping for: Will Anderson, the edge from Alabama; Tyree Wilson, long go gadget arms, get after the quarterback; my boy Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Florida. I know you love that one. I want to know where you're at with Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, Georgia. We've got the Skronk, interior guard, offensive tackle, Northwestern. And here's a hot take for you: Bryce Young is tiny. There's a chance he could slip. And what if he's sitting there at 6? What do you do?
Oakrey, I believe that you may or may not have said something about if you want to have some fun, tank and draft Bryce Young, or some boola take back in the day when we were, 1-7 or something. But hey, listen, if those are the names that are there, if Will Anderson is there at 6, I run it up to the podium. I'm just as excited as I was when I took Hutch at 2. So Will Anderson is my top pick there, and if he's gone, then and Jalen Carter's there, I'm taking Jalen Carter. Yes, I know he showed up to his pro day looking a little chunk and extra thick and extra juicy. I know that he's got some quote-unquote character issues, but I am not passing on Jalen Carter. In my opinion, he's the best defensive player in this draft. He's sick, and he's at our point of need with defensive interior. Give me Jalen Carter.
Cops, I'm going to leave the music up for this and the next pick before we talk about all the other picks for the Detroit Lions. With the 6th pick, I also, dream scenario, want Will Anderson. Second option for me is Tyree. Then it's my boy Anthony Richardson. After that, I'll go with Carter. I don't have these ultimate concerns everybody does. I don't love it. I don't think the Lions love what they see at this point. But they need him. I think they could fix him. I think they'd put a culture around him. And like I say, the only other thing that I'm willing to dip into at that point is a quarterback. I mean, I'm really not going to go guard, wide receiver, corner, any of these other things you want to throw at me. No. And all you Bijan truthers, no. But let's go to 18, Choppy, while we got the music. Let's see if we can end it on the music. At pick 18, because the Lions have 2 first-rounders, thanks to trading Matt Stafford and getting 2 first-rounders, a 3rd-rounder, and Jared Goff, ya boy. At 18, the options I see are Kalijah Kancey, your guy. I'm still split on this guy a little bit. Johnston, the wide receiver from TCU that beat Michigan. You got a lot of people that want a running back there. My boy Nolan Smith. You got Witherspoon, the corner. I think Brian Brise is still in the mix. And there's probably some other names as well. What are you thinking at 18? What's the dream scenario? Did I miss any names that the Koolaid
my dream. Okri, my dream scenario is if we're able to get that defensive interior and Jalen Carter falls to us at 1, I am immediately running up to the podium and I am saying Quentin Johnson, ex-wide receiver, TCU, big, nasty freak who can just battle and complement that. The speed of JMO and the slot action of Amon-Ra will just be absolutely fantastic with Quentin Johnson. If that is not the case, let's say we get Will Anderson somehow on that 6th pick, then I'm going in defensive interior. I want my boy Kancey. That guy, I know all the comparisons, went to Pitt, he's like this guy, but that guy is a ridiculous freak. So give me some Kancey. And if for some reason both those guys are gone and we didn't address the interior or the edge, I'm going Nolan Smith, your guy, with my 3rd scenario. No Bijan, no Witherspoon, no Brise, no thank you. What's your pick, Go?
Cops, you left me with just a little bit of music. Let's see if I can end it perfectly. Again, it's a combo meal. Depending on who I get first, dictates pick 2. I agree with you. You get an edge, maybe we get an interior. You get an interior up top, maybe Carter slips. I saw Carter at 18. Then you can maybe come back and pair him with my Georgia boys and get Nolan Smith. I mean, I want top-end ball players. I want 2 positions of need. But more than that, I want premier talent for the Detroit Lions. Nailed it. Choppy, kill the music. But before we get to our commercial break, yes, we are doing the 2 picks the Lions have in round 2. We are doing the Lions' 3rd round pick before we get our great sponsors in here. We do have a Kool-Aid promo for the people today. You're going to want to stay tuned and hear what this is all about. We teased it. We're going to talk about it. But in round 2, Chops, the Lions have picked 48. I believe that's their selection. And then they also have the Vikings pick at 55. Here's my names at 48. I got Henley, the linebacker from Washington State. I got who I've deemed the kid out of Northwestern. Do you want to do the name for me?
Oh, gosh. I knew you were going to do that to me. Adibawar. I don't know, dude. Terrible.
I think it's a War at the end, but everything else, putting it together, we'll have to work on that before draft day.
We'll work on it.
I know you love him, maybe not as much as Quentin Johns, who you just like, if you haven't seen all these tweets from @Chops and the D about Quentin Johnston and this man love you have for that guy. I'm not big on him. I didn't want to hate on him because I was running out of music time, but I'm not a huge fan, but I can see maybe why they would go that route. I don't see it happening. But you love this kid out of Northwestern. I really like what he's doing. Round 2, either of these picks seems like it'd be nice. Doug Karsh has said Jack Campbell no matter what. Now, Jack Campbell was off my board for a while. I've done some more digging. I don't mind this player. He's not like a have to have for me, but at some point, the Lions probably should invest in a quality, younger linebacker that they can bring along for a year or so and then give the reins over. So he's on my list. Mozzie Smith from Michigan is on my list. Trenton Simpson still seems to be a round 2 talent, so he's out there. Don't forget about Kenyon White, a big old edge, bulky player from Georgia Tech. And then in this first pick at 48, Drew Sanders was mocked by Mel Kiper as a mid-first rounder, but I always see him kind of in round 2 range. So I've really come to love that player and think he could be a Spielman guy and a nice ad for the Lions.
So many options, Oakrey, so many names. There's a lot of talent that's going to be available there in the second round. So again, based on what we do in the first round, my big names to look at, I'm looking, if we don't get, this is a name you didn't mention, but I got to throw it out there because this is another guy that I'm starting to fall in love with. And if we don't go with Q Johnston, a name that I love out there is Jalen Hyatt, another ex-receiver from Tennessee, big dude, ready to catch, can come in. I like that name there. If I'm going to your list, I'm liking, of those linebackers, I'm liking Trenton Simpson. I think that guy has gotten a kind of a bad knock, man. Originally, he was a first rounder, and now he's slipping. I don't know why people are sleeping on this guy. The guy can do everything as a linebacker. He's the type of linebacker that we like. I am big on Trenton Simpson. I love the kid from Northwestern. We'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to try to say his name. And again, if we haven't addressed the defensive interior yet, Mozzie Smith from Michigan is a fantastic pick at the 48th spot. What do you got, Oak?
Once again, people, Chops repeating my takes, repeating my gimmicks. I already did all those bits that you just repeated, but it's all good. The people don't mind hearing it twice, I guess. The thing I'll say real quick is just Trenton Simpson, to me, that's more of a player I like for the Lions than Jack Campbell. I just feel like he's an outside guy. He can run and hit. He's big and physical. He loves the game. Campbell, to me, is more that throwback linebacker. He's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit... he didn't flash on tape the way I saw it. So if you're going to split hairs, give me Simpson over Campbell, even though I know lots of Lions fans and lots of rankings seem to have Campbell higher. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Let's just go rapid fire. There's so many names, as you said, at 55. To me, a couple that stuck out in my mocks were Garrett Williams, cornerback, Syracuse. This is a guy that he's a press corner. It'd be a nice spot at 55 if you want to add to the corners again instead of taking one in the first round or taking one high. You could wait and see if you get this guy. He plays that in-your-face style. I know you love this linebacker from Texas, Overshown. And this is a guy you've been pubbing up for a while, and I'm still split. I actually, before we got recording, I heard a mock say that this guy was going 5th overall to the Seattle Seahawks, and that's your boy Hendon Hooker, quarterback, Tennessee. Whoever did that, Mike Tannenbaum, you're not taking a guy that has no ACL, that's 25 years old, and that played in a crazy offense at 5. I know you like him here at 55, but I'm still kind of split on this quarterback.
Oakrey. I know I'm not allowed to use the train gimmick with my boy Hendon Hooker, so I won't say it.
No.
But I am all in on Hendon Hooker. If this guy did not get injured, he was having a hell of a year. He would have, in my opinion, would have won the Heisman. He'd be ready to go. Yes, I know he's a little bit older. The guy is a dog. He's a sick man. The guy can move. He can throw. He's got everything. And he's in a perfect spot to be taken in the second round with our second pick in the second round. So you can attach Hooker to the Goff train, let him sit and train behind my boy, and then he's ready to go when we make a decision on Jared Goff. Give me Hendon Hooker. No questions asked. Pick 55. There's no other name. Give him to me.
This is why I had to educate you on the show. You're lucky we got to get to our sponsors here, so I can't just run you into the ground. The reason we don't take Hendon Hooker is because you talked about Hyatt earlier. You said he's a big body or he's a tall cat, but all he did was run Deshaun Jackson routes, and Hooker just threw it up to him. You want to know why? Because the Tennessee Volunteers run this funky offense where they basically have their wide receivers out of bounds and just have them run deep, and nobody could keep up with him. And he just hit this guy all day. So he plays in a weird offense. This guy won't even see the field till he's like 26, 27. That's what has me concerned. I like the kid. I like the talent, but the age has to be factored in, and he's probably not going to be there. He's probably going to be a late round 1 pick if I had to make a guess, but I'm just not totally sold, especially on your nicknames, but the player as well. Chops, we got to move to round 3. The Lions had the 81st pick as well. That's 5 selections, people, in the top 81. Guys that are coming up in my mocks. Or here's where I think would be a nice chance to maybe take a quarterback that you could pair with your boy Jared Goff. It's not going to cost you much. They're similar skill sets, I would say. That's McKee, the guy out of Stanford. You also got Sidney Brown, cornerback out of Illinois, which I've liked. Played a little bit with Kirby, can do some things. You got Jamie Robinson. This is one of my favorite players in the draft. He has like the personality of Jury Jacobs. That's Juurry, Jury Jacobs. Jamie Robinson plays all over the field. He's a DAWG. You got Nathaniel, great nickname, Tank Dell, wide receiver from Houston. He just runs past everybody and does big things. So those are kind of the targets, but you said there's so many names. I feel like 48, 55, and 81, there'll be good players there, but a lot of tough decisions and a lot of guys that don't really wow me, but they'll be helpful players on the team, no question.
How amazing is it that we have 3 picks in the top 81, Okri? It's just fantastic. That doesn't happen often, so I absolutely love it. Look, real quick for me, I heard McKee described as a less mobile Jared Goff. No thanks. I do not want McKee at all. I have no interest in him. I've watched some of his tape. He does nothing for me whatsoever.
That makes no sense. The guy's compared to your favorite player in the National Football League just because he's a little bit less mobile, which Jared Goff isn't mobile at all, so that's like not mobile. That now he's untakeable for you, yet the guy who's a little bit more mobile you already have a shrine of at your house.
Again,
that's a horrible
anytime
take.
You tell me that somebody is less than what I got, why do I want it? I want something. If I'm moving on, I want something better. I do not. I'm not impressed by anything that McKee has done. For me, I'm liking, I got a lot of options here. The other thing that I've kind of liked is Tank Dell, but the more I've looked into him, I don't know if he fits what we're looking for when it comes to wide receiver. No knock on the player whatsoever, right? He did some great things in Houston. I just don't know how he fits with J-Mo and Amon-Ra. I think we kind of have his skill set covered. So in this spot, I really actually like Sidney Brown out of Illinois. I think he's a good now with CJGJ getting signed. Do we need another safety? Maybe not. But I do like that player, and we may have some versatility and a need for safety depending on where we move around our new asset.
Yeah, it'll be real interesting to see who they take. Again, it's going to be that blend of best player available, who we already took, who they view. I know Brad Holmes had a big spiel about not drafting off the depth chart or not filling holes. Like you'll hear people on the radio just like, you got to take this and this and this because that's what they view as the missing links for the Lions. I heard one dope say, oh, if the 6th pick isn't an automatic starter Pro Bowler, it's a wasted bust pick. I'm like, nothing about football. But the Lions are going to get real productive players with all these picks. They're going to be guys that are going to come alongside the vets, going to come in, make impact, but also you need depth football players. So if they take a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round that doesn't slot in and be a stud from day one, it doesn't mean he's a bad player. So they're going to get some great things. I can't wait to see the mix of the stew that Brad Holmes stirs up on draft day. It's going to be incredible. You'll have all the Okri and Chop picks live before the Lions make them of who we would take. And Chops, word on the street is you got a promo for the people. You got a little something special. I know we went about 30 minutes here. You know we like to go long. It's felt like about 5 minutes talking football here on the show, serving up Kool-Aid. But you got a little something special. We'll get our great sponsors in here. And when we come back from the break, we're just like, we might hit the Kool-Aid hotline for a second, but we're going right into picks or rounds 4, 5, 6, 7. Talking about the Lions pick. So what do you got, man?
Okrie, we all know that Brad Holmes has been busy in the offseason, working his magic. Well, you know a couple other guys who've been busy working their magic in the offseason for the Detroit Lions? It's you and me, buddy. Look, it's at Derek Okrie. It's at Chops in the D. And we have partnered up with an amazing partner at Notorious_DET. That's Notorious DET. And he has graciously paired with us a Detroit Grit t-shirt. That's right. The same Grit shirt you've seen Brad Holmes wearing, the same t-shirt you've seen Dan freaking Campbell wearing. We are going to give away a Notorious DET Grit t-shirt for one lucky winner who qualifies by retweeting the podcast. When this thing drops live tomorrow, we are going to tally up everybody who gets a retweet, who gets a like, who gets a share. Anybody who promotes the Detroit Koolaid Cast will be entered in to win a Grit t-shirt. And not only will they have the ability to win a t-shirt on Friday with our drawing, Notorious DET has also graciously offered up an amazing 10% off all his merchandise just by using the promo code Koolaid Cast.
Wow! Wow!
Get on this guy's shop. The link is going to be on the tweet. Buy some gear. Enter to win a free shirt. This is just a great opportunity. I've got an order coming my way. I've got a Grit shirt coming. I may or may not have a shirt that's got Stone Cold Steve Austin driving a Zamboni on a red ring shirt. Are you kidding me right now? That might be on the way to my house as well. So retweet the show, give Notorious DET a follow, get to his store and buy some merch, and drink it in.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Woo! Hashtag choppy liking.
Chops, I couldn't said it better myself. You've been taking the lead on this thing. It's a fun thing we're doing for the fans. You know, it's the reason I started this pod was for the loyal, diehard Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers. So that'll be really fun to make that happen. We just appreciate all the support from everybody of sharing it. The show has just grown leaps and bounds day by day, year by year. We've been doing this thing for 3-4 years now, whatever it is, and it's just awesome to see their growth and everybody getting hyped about this football team. So everybody, listen to our great sponsors. Appreciate Chops bringing that to the table and making this happen, along with Notorious_DET. Go check him out on Twitter, and everybody will be right back talking all things Lions and the NFL Draft. All right, everybody. This goes out to my fantasy football fans out there. Now, you probably heard about Reality Sports Online, the most powerful fantasy sports platform where owners can build and manage their fantasy team like a real NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? I mean, we're talking free agency, multi-year contracts, rookie drafts, multi-team trades. You can put franchise tags on guys. It's as close as you're going to get to being an NFL GM. But do you think it sounds complicated? It's not. I'm here to tell you it's the best thing about Reality Sports Online is it's just more fun than your normal fantasy league, but it doesn't take barely any more time. After all this, are you still not sure? I mean, come on now. You can test your general manager skills by going over to Reality Sports Online, call it RSO. Please go check out realitysportsonline.com right now. It's about that time in the show, everybody. We're back from the break. Thank you for listening to our sponsors. This is normally where I just thank all the loyal, diehard Kool-Aid drinkers that I try to do multiple times a show. Hold on. Before I do that, I mean, you guys might be getting a little thirsty out there. Let me fill up that glass real quick so you can do this.
Drink it in, man.
Side of cornbread.
Cornbread!
Make it a double.
Cornbread!
And before we get into these draft picks, I know we always try to give people shouts. And again, you can follow me on Twitter at Derek Okrie. That's spelled the only way that it could be spelled. DEREK. OKRIE. You can also find it on the marquee of the pod. And then we got my guy on the other end of the line at Chops in the D. He's probably dropping tweets about the Red Wings, maybe hashtag choppy hockey, maybe hashtag what's that other thing you say really loud and proud?
Woo!
Exactly. You'll see that on the old Twitter machine. But me and Chops, we don't have all day. I mean, we're not on Twitter making a living or anything, but we definitely do try to send things back and forth. Or anytime I put a Kool-Aid gimmick out there, hashtag Kool-Aid gimmicks, usually Chops and others are diving in, which is fun to see. So just appreciate that. And Chops, we haven't done a very good job about talking about the Kool-Aid hotline. I know during the season and at times we pub it up and people call in, they text in, they leave voicemails, they make us laugh, they frustrate us, they come up with their own nicknames, things like that. So I think we got to continue to put that out there and encourage the people to dial up the Kool-Aid hotline. You know what that number is, 989-272 Kevin Smith, Herman Moore. That's 272-3484. Dial it up, text it up, leave a voicemail. Just like our guy at Young Santa. I don't think that's his Twitter handle, but I think he does go by Young Santa, which I made fun of him last time, and he totally explained it on these two calls that he did back to back that totaled about a total of 9 to 10 minutes. Young Santa, if you're going to have that many takes and that many opinions, we just need to have you on as a guest. I can't play those full segments, but he explained his nickname. He called Brad Holmes a witch and a wizard, I think at least 6 to 8 times. He talked about the depth that he's adding. He loves the signings. He's all about the Detroit Lions. He's drinking that Detroit Kool-Aid. He loves the show. And again, he has a white beard. He said he has no ankles. He kind of looks like Santa Claus. He said something about his dad was a previous Santa. I mean, the call blew my mind, to be honest. I mean, we can't play it here on the show, but it was entertaining. He's a loyal listener. And we just got to pub this up more so people can call up and make us laugh. And again, if you have a hot take and it's not 9 minutes, you'll probably get on the pod.
Okrie, we just need to get our boy Young Santa you just got to join the podcast, man. Like, hey, text the Kool-Aid line, 989-272-3484. Text the line and let us know that you want to come on and record a segment, bro. Like, I love the 10-minute rant, but it's good. It's all good stuff, but it's show worthy, in my opinion.
My favorite part was he called, and I think it ran out of time. He dialed back. He picked up right where his last take left off. And Chops, what he revealed again is that Young Santa was the one that talked about big bucks. He's the guy that said that on a previous show, so yes, he loved that signing.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, we got to get you. We got so many loyal listeners, and Okrie, I know we say it every week, but man, the people is who we do this for. And it's so great when people call in, when people text, when people retweet. I love seeing hashtag what Choppy said on like retweets people are doing. Hashtag Goff train was trending worldwide on the Twitterverse. It's just fantastic.
So you mean people like Steve from Cali, Bo DeFrisco, Tommy Lyon, Jordan Motor City Spartans, Paul Jackson's out there. How about Cornbread Jerry, KP from the Real Deal Sports Talk Show. We got... Gosh, I could just go down the list. We could make this whole segment, but we got to get back into the NFL draft. We appreciate all the people, the Kool-Aid drinkers. They make us laugh, and it's fun. But, Chops, we got to talk about the NFL draft. Now, the Detroit Lions don't have a 4th-round pick, which, like, I still feel like 3rd, 4th round, there's great talent there. They don't have a 4th-rounder, but they have a 5th. And here's some names for you to consider at pick 162. Ford Wheaton from West Virginia, big-bodied receiver. You tried to put Hyatt in that category. This guy is a big-body receiver. He's actually a better option for me than your boy Quentin Johnston, to be honest. We got Dorian Williams. He's a coverage linebacker from Tulane. We got Dwayne McBride if the Lions wanted to dip into running back, which they should never do in the 1st round. with a premium pick. But here in round 5 at 152, this guy's a thumper, a 2-down player that can do some things. You got my boy Carl Brooks. He's an edge. Sure, he played at Bowling Green. We won't hold that against him. He's still a ball player, get after the quarterback. How about this guy from the University of Michigan, one of the highest, just institutions in all the land. Luke Schoonmaker. It just blew up his testing. I want to say he was almost a perfect RAS score, which kind of surprised me, but Schoonmaker, block, catch, do whatever you want to do. Michael Wilson, big body wide receiver from Stanford. Those are just a couple names that I had there that have been seeming in the 5th round. We know these are mock drafts. We know this probably isn't going to be how it shakes out, but those are some names that I would have pegged for this 5th round pick that may fit the Lions.
Agree. Lots of great names out there, and lots of good options. This is the part of the draft for me where I start to focus a little more on our offensive depth. I absolutely love Bryce, Ford, Wheaton. So if we cannot get my boy Quentin Johnson, then I am loving BFW. Right? Give me some Ford Wheaton from West Virginia, another big body, nasty freak. I think he would complement that wide receiver room well. Another guy, I am not opposed to a running back here. Looking at McBride, a couple other guys, maybe a tight end. Soon, what do we call him at the in the old big house? Shoemaker would be fantastic. This is where I'm looking to add some offensive depth for our Detroit Lions.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this on a side tangent. Can the Detroit Lions have JG, ARSB, CJGJ, and the guy you just dubbed, some BFW? I mean, can we have that many acronyms? I mean, anybody that doesn't have an acronym or initials on this team is big something, right? I mean, that's pretty much what we have on this team now.
Listen, everybody deserves a good nickname, and so for my boy Bryce Ford Wheaton, it's BFW. It sounds like BMW, but it's like BFW, and because he's big, and and his name's Bryce Ford Wheaton. But anyway, yes, come on, you can't go wrong with ARSB. You can't go wrong with those kind of nicknames. So BFW is fantastic.
And it's one of your betters nicknames because it's not like a sentence or a run-on sentence or something ridiculous like hashtag anybody but Willie. I mean, it's actually like a short, good nickname, kind of like Big Bad Brad or B3 or all the great ones I come up with, like Big Denim. I mean, let me ask you this as another side tangent. Give me your quick hockey take on nicknames. Because that's a funny bit that always is classic. I mean, every hockey player has a nickname, and tell them how it goes.
Oakrey, every hockey player has a name, and you usually shorten up the first name or you shorten up the last name, and you add a EY or an EI at the end. So it's like, hey, Shorzy, hey, Choppy, hey, Nizzy, hey, Okie. And so it's short, 3, the first few letters of either the first or the last, and you end it in a Y. It sounds great when you're stick tapping the ice, right? Like, Okie, tip, tap, tip. In front, Okie. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's incredible. That's why you are Choppy here on the show. For me and you both hockey players back in our day. You're more accomplished than me these days, but I used to lace them up, could play the back end, could play the put the puck in the net at times. I love to get in front and deflect pucks. I was good at that too, which was always fun. But we'll have to come up with some Lions hockey nicknames. That'll be a segment on a show at some point. But let's keep this rolling. 6th round. Pick 183. Lions have 2 picks in the 6th round, 183. More so than names, you hit on a real good point. And again, you kind of just copied it from my Twitter where I said, to me, in all my mocks, this draft is setting up to be defensive heavy in the beginning, which will make all the fans happy. And then this back half, rounds 5, 6, it's really where the Lions could make some hay of offensive skill, but guys that, they don't have to play right away. And they could be a special skill set, or they could be a stash player that you need next year, right, more so than this year. So with this pick 183, I mean, I'm talking about tight ends, quarterbacks, running backs. If they don't take my boy Anthony Richardson or one of these other good value quarterbacks, you could just wait it out and see if Toon from Houston is here, or the kid from Purdue, which some people like, not me. There's quite a few quarterbacks. PR will be here later probably that you could consider if you want to go that route. Even Cunningham with the crazy skill set. Maybe you want a running quarterback. You could take him here and just take a flyer. But to me, Keaton Mitchell, the running back from East Carolina, the reason I like him so much, really young player. Yes, he's small, but he has elite speed and can catch the football. So those are the type of guys that I want to take a chance on here later in today's NFL. He probably wouldn't ever make the league 20 years ago, but he can play right now and he can make plays. Zach Knutz, I believe is how you pronounce it, the tight end from Old Dominion. This kid was off my board for a while until I did more research on him. Freaky athlete, and I already knew he was 6'7", but very sneaky RAS score athleticism from this kid. Could be an interesting tight end prospect. And my boy Benny Blades. You guys know who Benny Blades is, right? He said this on the old podcast I used to do with him.
What, right?
He would yell that from time to time. He would also, talk about the pay window.
Going to the pay window.
Exactly, Benny. He's from the U. So he'd always tell me about Will Mallory. He would sing his name. He would talk about what a stud this guy is. Of course, he was hurt all the time and never played. But it's an intriguing tight end prospect. Those are just a couple names at this first pick in the 6th round I threw out there.
Okay, I absolutely love your boy Zach Kuntz. I think that's an A+ signing if he is there in the 6th round. What is he, 6'7", 6'8", something like that, and he can move pretty smooth. Another guy you didn't mention, smaller running back that I don't know why people don't like this guy. I can't figure it out. He had like a 90 PFF grade for the season. Is Eric Gray from Oklahoma? Like, what's wrong with this guy? I understand he's 5'8", but I think he would be a great complement to our running back room that we have. So I like Eric Gray. I think he's a guy I'm looking for in the 6th round. Again, like we mentioned, going offense. I like tight end and running back in these two spots.
Perhaps I already told you offline about Eric Gray. The reason I don't like him is because I've been in a college fantasy league the last couple of years, and he was highly touted, and he just never seemed to do anything. He was very inconsistent, unproductive in my opinion, and every time I watched him on tape, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, that's why Eric Gray's not that good. So that's not a guy I like. I have heard him get some pub, don't get me wrong, but here in the 6th round, you are kind of just looking for you're more need-based, I would say, even though that's what Brad Holmes says he doesn't do. You're also trying to find guys that you can bring along. And, I don't mind those at all. Pick 194. This has been my sweet spot for Ronnie Bell, the wide receiver from Michigan. He's always there. I don't know. I could see him being a guy that's picked maybe in the 4th, 5th round, somebody that just falls in love with his character. He's had some injury issues, a bit older, but a very professional wide receiver in my opinion. The Lions re-signed, the Money Badger. It's a horrible nickname for a kicker, if you ask me. But I heard an interview from him. He seemed like a good guy. Seems like he's excited to be here. So you go ahead and pay a kicker and keep him here. I can't see the Lions taking Jake Moody like everybody wants. But obviously he was very consistent in college. Not a very deep kicker either, which is something you look for in the NFL. You need those 50-yard bangers. If you can get them. Again, I brought up a couple of the quarterbacks. This is again a kind of a luxury spot where we want to get a productive player, and Brad Holmes has had some great success in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, but lots of options, especially on offense, and you've already covered your defense both in free agency and early, so go ahead and take somebody that you think you can build or that can help you in a specific area and add them to the team and hope they can help you come game day.
Yeah. Okri, you have once again read my mind completely. You guys know how I feel about Hendon Hooker, but if we somehow do not address the quarterback position before this pick, then Clayton Tune from Houston is absolutely my guy. Again, a 92 PFF score for the season. I told you before the Senior Bowl, keep an eye on this guy, watch him. I absolutely love this kid. If I got to go and if I haven't addressed it yet, I'm taking him. He's 24 years old, 6'2", 220. He's got decent speed. He ran a 4.64. I like him better than Stenson, even though Stenson is a winner, short little guy and a little bit older. But give me Clayton Tune.
What was crazy about him, I think you brought him up, and he's kind of on the fringe of my radar. But then when I dug into his stats, his numbers, which is something I never do either. he put up some crazy, I mean, I'm talking like 4,000 plus yards, all these touchdowns. I mean, a lot of times that's a guy who's thrown the football a lot, been very productive, and knows how to get the ball in the end zone. So I think if you're taking a late, number 2 project type quarterback that could marry up with a guy like Jared Goff, both for this year and maybe for the future, it seemed like you want a guy that's slung it around the yard a bit rather than a running guy and just somebody that has that college production that always seems to translate better than some of these late round just flyers on a guy that's never played football. This guy's thrown touchdowns and yards and knows how to throw it around. That's what they do in the NFL these days.
Yep. I think he proved it in college. He'd be a good quarterback to come in behind Jared Goff, to sit behind him for 2 years and learn and grow. But he's got the stats, and I love that you brought up stats because I'm hashtag choppy stat boy. So thank you for doing my job for me.
It's crazy. Like, I literally tell people, again, I brought up my college fantasy league again, and you guys listening out there that love fantasy football. I mean, gosh, Chops, I'm like one of the world's top 10 commissioners. I'm like the commish of about 18 to 25 fantasy leagues, some of them 32 teamers, 53 people on a team. I mean, that's sort of where I build out a lot of this stuff. But there's so much to get into when you're talking about these players. And but I always joke with people that, like, I do all these leagues, we talk ball all day. You will never see me like staring down stat sheet or analytics or some of these crazy numbers that you guys love. It's like I just sort of feel like I have a feel for players, I have a feel for how to build my squad or guys I like, and I go with that most of the time. But those numbers, those stats can obviously back up your opinion. There's no question. That's why you and Logan Lamrandier from Sports Illustrated try to use them to your advantage at all times.
Okri, you know that I always have a stat in my back pocket to make me look smarter than you all think I am, and that's why Logan Lamrandier is my boy, right? I want to get on the show with Logan because we can just sit here and we can just drown you in stats, and you will be so stunned by all the numbers we throw at you, you won't even be able to knock on us. So Logan,
I understand.
Logan Lamrandier, I need you, buddy.
Me and Beetlejuice, I mean, we understand.
Yeah, I understand. I got it in my head, dude.
So Chops, like, just to sum this up, what do people always say? Let's put a button on this. We are less than a month away from the NFL draft. The Detroit Lions have 5 picks in the top 81. They've already basically solidified their defense. They had a top 5 offense last year. They can go shopping in this draft, and we are going to talk about it every show from now till the draft, after the draft, heading to training camp. The Lions fans have never been more excited. The Kool-Aid has never been flowing as much. We aren't even to the draft yet. After the draft, it's going to be Honolulu blue flavored Kool-Aid everywhere. And it's a great time to be a Lions fan. So, Chops, you got anything else for the people before we get up out of here?
Okri, you got me so hyped up. The only thing I can respond to that with is, woo! And maybe in the year 2023 is going to be the first year that the Lions win the division, go to the playoffs, and get a playoff W in Ford Field.
That's a beautiful thing. There's no question. So, kind of as Choppy said earlier, you got to hit this up when we drop it on Twitter. Hit that retweet, share it with a friend, hit us with a reply, do a gimmick line, whatever you got to do to try to get in this contest for the Grit t-shirt. Gosh, Chops, as we head towards the NFL draft, less than a month away, I mean, next week, I'm going to be talking all things NFL draft. Who knows who might be on the show? You might come back. It might be somebody new. We got to figure out what Brad Holmes is up to. He's got money in his pocket. He's got picks waiting that he could either draft or trade. I mean, gosh, I might as well just do one of my gimmick lines. I don't even need the soundbite. Oh, baby. Let's go.
Okri, less than 4 weeks away. The draft is going to be amazing. And what is the one thing that Brad Holmes has done? All these moves have given him one key thing. Options. He's got options. He can go offense. He can go defense. He can do what he needs to do to make this team the best that it needs to be. It's a great time to be a Lions fan. Real quick shout out again to @NotoriousDET sponsoring us this great sheer giveaway. Absolutely loving it. So when the pod hits, hit the retweet, hit the like, hit the share, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and enter in to win a grit shirt. We'll pull that winner. And again, shout out to the only podcast serving Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid double fisting, double-sided cornbread. Woo!
Got me fired up, Choppy.
Drink it in, man.
This is what you called for earlier.
Cornbread.
Double. Everybody, we'll catch you next week talking all things NFL draft right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Woo! Hashtag Choppy Likey. Hashtag what Choppy said.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions. Drink it in, man.